with respect to the next topic, what we have to discuss is here supply. So with respect to supply, the taxable event with respect to supply will be, taxable event with respect to GST will be supply. So generally the taxable event is a foundation stone of any taxation system. Sir, what is meant by the word taxable event? What is meant by the word taxable event? When tax is levied, when tax is imposed, what is the triggering point of taxation? All these points generally deals with taxable event. In GST, the taxable event will be supply. In GST, the taxable event will be supply. So with respect to that means before introduction of GST also, many taxes have many taxable events. Let's say for example, manufacturing, excise duty, manufacturing will be the taxable event. Intrastate sale will be the taxable event for VAT. Interstate sale will be the taxable event for CST. Provision of service will be a taxable event for service tax, like that. In GST also, the taxable event will be supply. In this particular supply chapter, we are going to discuss about, two sections, section 7 and section 8. We are going to discuss about two sections, section 7 and section 8. Okay, ma'am. So now let us start with section 7. In section 7, there are three subsections, 7.1, 7 subsection 1a and 7.2. In section 7, there are three subsections, section 7 subsection 1, 7 subsection 1a, 7 subsection 2. These are the subsections. In section 7 subsection 1, there are three clauses. 7.1a deals with general meaning of supply. 7.1b deals with importation of service. 7.1c deals with deemed supplies. In section 7, there are three clauses are there. 7 subsection 1 clause A deals with general meaning of supply. 7 subsection 1 clause B deals with importation of service. 7 subsection 1 clause C deals with deemed supplies. And 7 subsection 1E deals with classification. 7 subsection 2 deals with negative list. Okay, ma. Now we are going to discuss about 7 subsection 1E. In 7 subsection 1 clause A, these are the 6 parameters that are to be satisfied in order to levy the GST. The 6 parameters are here in this case. First one, it should be a supply. Second one, it should be of goods and services. Third one, it should be done for a consideration. Fourth one, it should be done in the course or furtherance of business. Fifth one, it should be made by a taxable person. And sixth one, it should be a taxable supply. If at all these points are satisfied, definitely as per 7.1a, GST is leviable. What are the 6 points that are to be satisfied? First one, it should be a supply. Second one, it should be of goods and services. Third one, it should be done for a consideration. Fourth one, it should be done in the course or furtherance of business. Fifth one, it should be done by a taxable person. Sixth one, it should be a taxable supply. If at all these 6 parameters are satisfied, definitely it is a supply. Definitely GST is leviable. The first point is here, it should be a supply. So the question arises, sir, what is meant by the word supply here? Generally, supply includes these forms: sale, transfer, barter, exchange, license, lease, rentals, etc. Sir, what is meant by the word sale? Sale means, what is meant by the word sale? Sale means if the ownership is going to be transferred permanently, if the ownership is going to be transferred permanently, it is a sale. Whereas ownership is not transferred immediately, but the possession is transferred, definitely it is known as transfer, general hire purchase, installment sales, interstate stock transfers, sale or return basis, all these things are covered under the word transfer. The next one is barter and exchange. Sir, what is meant by the word barter and what is meant by the word exchange? Barter means two parties here will exchange, two parties will transfer non-monetary consideration, it is known as barter. If two parties exchange or transfer non-monetary consideration, it is known as barter. At least some part of the consideration involved therein is in terms of money, definitely it comes under exchange. If two parties exchange non-monetary consideration, it is called barter. If at least some part of the consideration involved therein is in terms of money, then definitely it is known as exchange. Let's say mobile to mobile. Two parties here exchanged non-monetary consideration, it will come under barter. Let's say for mobile plus 10,000. Here the total consideration is not in non-monetary form. Some part of the consideration here involved is in terms of money. Definitely it will come under exchange. In the same way, license, lease, rentals. License means here, it is the permission that is given to use a intangible asset like patents, copyrights, trademarks. If any of those items are given as given permission to use them, definitely it will come under license. Lease, rentals. If any movable property possession has been given for use, it is known as lease. Otherwise, if any immovable property has given on rent, it is known as lease. It is known as rental. Movable property lease and immovable property rental. Last but not the least, disposal. What is meant by the word disposal? At the end of the lifetime, if the asset is sold as scrap or if it is sold as second-hand plant and machinery, it is known as what we can say? Disposal. These are the 8 forms of supply that are there. Sale, ownership is transferred. Transfer, ownership may not be transferred, but the possession is transferred. Barter, two parties exchange non-monetary consideration, it is barter. At least some part of the consideration involved therein is money, it is known as exchange. The permission given to use the intangible asset is known as license. Mobile property is given for a specified period, generally it is known as lease. If any immobile property is given for a period, it is known as rental. And at the end of the period, if the asset is sold as scrap or second-hand plant and machinery, it is known as disposal. These are the items what we are going to discuss now. So, sir, in these 8 forms, goods deals with how many forms? How many forms are applicable to goods here? 5 forms are applicable to goods: sale, transfer, barter, exchange, disposal. These 5 forms will be applicable to goods. Whereas with respect to service, 6 forms will be applicable. Sale will be replaced by provision of service, transfer, barter, license, lease, rentals. These are the 6 forms that are applicable with respect to services. Whereas exchange is not applicable for service and disposal is also not applicable for service. This is the point we should remember now. Okay. So of these 8 forms, our next point is the supply should be of goods or services. The question arises, sir, what is meant by the word goods? The word goods has not been defined under GST. If a particular word is not defined under GST, then definitely we will go by the definition that is given in General Clauses Act. As per General Clauses Act, movable property means immobile property. Movable property means other than immobile property is known as movable property. But this point also does not give a clear idea of what is meant by the word movable property. As per the judicial decision, movable property means if the item can be shifted from one place to another place in the same condition, it is movable. If it requires dismantling and re-erection, it is immovable. If the item can be shifted from one place to another place in the same condition, it is movable. If it requires dismantling and re-erection, it is immovable. Let's say water bottle, movable, calculator, movable, mobile, movable, so duster, movable, so podium, movable, camera, movable, laptop, movable. That means all these items can be shifted from one place to another place in the same condition. Whereas with respect to lift, it comes under immobile property. Because in order to shift the lift from one place to another place, first it should be dismantled and it should be re-erected. It should be re-erected at the new place. Therefore, lift comes under immobile property. Okay, so every item that can be shifted from one place to another place in the same condition, it is known as movable property. And it includes actionable claim also. Sir, what is meant by the word actionable claim? The claim on which we can take legal action even though there is no security. Even though there is no security, still if we are able to make a claim in the court of law, it is known as actionable claim. Example, every negotiable instrument is actionable claim. That means promissory note, check, bills of exchange. And apart from that, any other examples for actionable claim? Lotteries, betting, gambling. Lotteries, betting, gambling. What we can say is arrears of rent, insurance claims. All these things will come under the word. All these things will come under the word actionable claims. Sir, that means on every actionable claim, are we liable to pay the GST? Answer is no. Because as per 7 subsection 2, as per section 7 subsection 2, negative list of GST, even though it is a good, but still there is no need to pay the GST because those things are specifically excluded from supply as per the section 7 subsection 2. In that, it is wrote like this: actionable claims other than betting, gambling and lotteries, we are not liable to pay the GST. Actionable claims other than betting, gambling and lotteries, we are not liable to pay the GST. That means every actionable claim is a good. But on every actionable claim, we are not liable to pay the GST. We are liable to pay GST on all the actionable claims like betting, gambling and lotteries. On the remaining actionable claims, we are not liable to pay the GST because all these things are there in negative list 7 subsection 2. And next point is growing crops and the things attaching to or forming part of the land which can be separated before supply. That means whatever the items that are capable of being separated from land before the supply, all those things are known as goods. Let's say groundnuts are there, carrot, beetroot, onions. Definitely we can pluck them. Definitely we can pluck them before sale. Definitely these things will come under movable property. Sir, that means on carrot, potato, beetroot and all these things, are we liable to pay the GST? Answer is no, because there is an exemption that is given. With respect to that exemption, what is the position? Based on that exemption, agriculture is not liable to pay the GST. Agriculture is exempt from GST. That's why on these items we are not liable to pay the GST. But what about silver, gold, diamonds that can be there in the underground? All these things, definitely GST is payable because they are not exempted. So goods means every kind of movable property. What is meant by the word good? If the item can be shifted from one place to another place in the same condition, it is movable. If it requires dismantling and re-erection, it is immovable. And it includes actionable claim also. Actionable claim means the claim on which we can take legal action even though there is no security. And in the same way, growing crops and the things attaching to or forming part of the land which can be separated before supply is also known as goods. But money and securities are neither goods nor services. Money and securities are neither goods nor services. What is meant by the word money and what is meant by the word securities, we will see here. See, service means anything other than goods is a service, which is a very wider definition that is given here. Because anything other than goods is a service. Let's say land and buildings are there. Sir, land and buildings are movable? No. If at all it is not movable, is it a good? No. If at all it is not a good, automatically as per the definition of service, it is within the scope of service and GST is to be paid. Land and buildings are not movable. If at all they are not movable, they are not goods. If at all they are not goods, definitely they will come under the definition of service. But the real estate people has made the representation to the government that, sir, already we are paying so many number of taxes. If we are liable to pay GST on the sale or purchase of the land and building, definitely the people may not be interested to invest in these real estate. Obviously, our real estate will fall or will collapse. It may lead to a negative impact on our GDP. That's why based on the recommendations and the representations, what the government has received, definitely the government put the sale of land and sale of building context under 7 subsection 2 negative list. Therefore, on the sale of the land and sale of building, we are not liable to pay the GST. But they are still treated as service. And money and securities are neither goods nor services. Money and securities are neither goods nor services. Sir, what is meant by the word money? Money means here legal tender money. Money means here legal tender money. The money which is in circulation. The money which is in circulation is known as legal tender money. Legal tender money is not a good as well as not a service. And securities like shares, debentures, etc. Sale, purchase of those securities are not liable to pay the GST. But whereas transactions that facilitate these purchase or sale of securities like stock broking services are liable to pay the GST. Whereas same point will be applicable to money also. Money is neither a good, that means transaction in money is neither a good nor a service. But whereas use of money or conversion of money from one currency to another currency, one denomination to another denomination, one form to another form, definitely for a consideration, it will be treated as supply of service. Generally, money is neither goods nor service, but use of money or conversion of money will be liable to pay GST. First one, use of money. What is the consideration that is paid for use of money? Technically, it is known as interest. For using banker money, we are liable to pay the interest. Okay, ma. That is the point you should remember. Okay? And in the same way, interest which is charged by the banker comes under use of money for consideration. Definitely GST is to be paid. But the point is, interest on credit cards only taxable. All other interest incomes are exempted. Interest on credit cards only taxable. All other interest incomes are exempted. Okay, ma. That is the point you should remember here. And another one. Sir, what about minimum balance charges, processing fee, documentation charges, like that? Many number of charges will be collected by the banker na, at the time of processing of these loans. Yes, all these items are taxable. Yes. Transactions in terms of money, that means the loan amount or deposit amount, those things are excluded from the scope of GST. But whereas interest earned therein, it definitely will come under supply of service. But government has given you relaxation that here. Only interest on credit cards are taxable. All other interest incomes are exempted. But whereas with respect to processing fee, documentation charges, minimum balance charges, all these things will be taxable. Okay. And next one is money, already we discussed. Actionable crime you have to study on your own. This is the second point. And third point is, as per 7-1-6 parameters, first one is supply. Second one is supply should be of goods or services. And the third one is supply should be done for a consideration. Sir, what is meant by the word consideration? Something in return for something given is known as consideration. It can be in money or otherwise. That means consideration can be divided into two types: monetary consideration, non-monetary consideration. Monetary consideration, non-monetary consideration, both are valid. And monetary value of any act or forbearance. Sir, what is meant by the word act or forbearance? To do something is a valid consideration. In the same way, not to do something is also a valid consideration. Sir, to do something is a valid consideration, we know that. But whereas not to do something is also a valid consideration, how it will be or how is it possible? Let's say non-compete agreements. In non-compete agreements, what will be like that? Definitely, I will pay you some 10 lakhs or 20 lakhs. For those 10 lakhs or 20 lakhs or some X amount, you will agree that you will not do the business in that particular locality for a period of some 5 years, 10 years, like that. These type of agreements are known as non-compete agreements. Here you will promise that you will do something or you will not do something. You will not do something. I will not do the business for a period of 5 years. I will not do the business for a period of 10 years in this locality. Here, these type of agreements are known as non-compete agreements. Here you promise not to do something. This not to do something is known as forbearance. To do something as well as not to do something, both are valid. And in response to, for the inducement of. What about these three words? In respect of, in response to, for the inducement of. In respect of supply of the goods. That means supplying the goods, and in the same way, supplying the goods in the same way. Receiving consideration will happen simultaneously. Those things are known as in respect of. Generally, it is known as present consideration. If we just went to Spencer and purchase some items, definitely other party will deliver the goods and you will make the payment. Both generally will happen simultaneously almost. Those things are known as in respect of Generally, it is known as present consideration. And in response to supply of the goods, first he will supply the good, subsequently we will make the payment. So, definitely it is known as future consideration. Okay, ma'am. And next one, for the inducement of supply of the good. That means initially you will pay the money and subsequently you will get the service or supply. Here the point is, first you will pay the money, subsequently you will get the supply. Definitely it comes under past consideration. That means consideration can be past, present or future. Consideration can be past, present or future. Three are valid. That means consideration can be received at any point of time. It can be received before supply, it can be received during supply, even it can be received after supply also. Even it can be received after supply also. Okay, ma'am. Consideration can be received at any point of time. It can be received before supply, it can be received after supply, even it can be received during supply also. That means it is not important that at what point of time you will receive the consideration, but the amount you received, the consideration you received, it should be in relation to your supply. That is the point. And goods, supply of the goods or services are both, whether by the recipient or by any other person. That means it is not necessary that the consideration should be always received from the recipient. Even it can be received from a third party also. Even it can be received from a third party also. That means consideration can be received from any person. It can be received from the recipient or it can be received from any third party like our parents also. That means with respect to education, you are the service recipient. But whereas the money will be paid by your parents, here the consideration is not received from you, but the consideration is received from your parents. But still, what will happen? Yes, it is a valid consideration, even though it is not received from the recipient. And next one is here. But shall not include any subsidy given by central government or state government. That means subsidy given by government, excludable. Subsidy given by any person other than government, includable. Let's say Mr. Mukesh Ambani has said that. So with respect to Covishield or Covaxin, whatever the vaccine that is available in India nowadays, let's say for example its price is 250 rupees. So please collect 10 rupees from the Indian citizens. I will pay the remaining 240. I will pay the remaining 240. In specific states has given a statement like this. In this case, what happens is, here Mukesh Ambani is not government. Therefore, the subsidy that is given by Mr. Mukesh Ambani is includable in consideration. But technically, you are collecting only 10 rupees from the customer. Remaining 240 rupees is given as a subsidy by Mr. Mukesh Ambani. In that case, 240 plus 10, 250 will be the total consideration that is received by that company. So, on the total amount, you are liable to pay the GST. Okay, ma'am. That means the point is, subsidy, if at all it is given by government, excludable from consideration. Subsidy given by other than government, includable. Last but not the least, security deposit. Generally, security deposit is not a consideration unless otherwise it is adjusted for the payment. Security deposit is not a consideration unless otherwise it is adjusted for the payment. That means security deposit, caution deposit, generally they are collected, what we can say, for the sake of security only. It is nothing to do with the supply. Therefore, generally these amounts are not includable. But whereas with respect to the security deposit, when it is adjusted for the payment, definitely it is treated as consideration. Definitely it is treated as consideration. That is the point you should remember, ma. Okay, na? For example, so security deposit is generally not a consideration unless otherwise it is adjusted for the payment. That means, let's say BSNL, for taking BSNL broadband connection, you need to pay, for example, some 2,500 as a caution deposit. At the time of making that caution deposit, you are not liable to pay any GST. But whereas in the last month, when you just want to discontinue the connection, you do not pay the bill and the amount will be deducted from your security deposit and the balance amount will be paid to you. So whatever the amount that is actually used for set off your bill, it is known as adjustment for the payment. If at all this thing happens, definitely it is a supply of, definitely it will come under consideration. Definitely you are liable to pay the GST. This is a point you should remember here, ma. So economic interest, and the next point is here in the consideration only donations. The consideration only donations. So what about donations here? Whereas with respect to donations, if the donations are given on a reciprocal basis, that means after receiving the donation, the donee is having some obligation to do a thing. Definitely it is known as a consideration and it is known as supply also. But whereas the donation is given without any obligation on the part of the person who receives that particular donation, it is not a supply. And in the same way, if the donations are given and displayed on the business name, definitely it is a supply. But whereas if the donations are given in the individual name, definitely it is not a supply. If donations are given in the business name, definitely it is a supply and GST is to be paid. If the donations are given in the individual name, definitely they are not a supply. Let's say donation was given in the name of masterminds, taxable. Whereas donation is given in the name of Sri Mattupalli Mohan Garu. In this particular case, it comes under personal name, GST is not payable. Okay, ma. This is the point you should remember. And okay, now with respect to donations, see this. Bhushan donated a blackboard to Yoganis Samsthan, a charitable yoga institution, and Yoganish Samsthan printed under the head blackboard donated good wishes from Mr. Bhushan. It is actually in the name of individual name. Therefore, it is not a supply. There is no need to pay the GST. And Srimad Durga Devi donated some money to the temple in the memory of her late father. Here the words are donated by Srimati Durga Devi in the memory of her father. Definitely in this case also it is in the name of individual. Therefore, it is not a supply. There is no need to pay the GST. Okay, ma? Now come to artwork here. Generally, what happens is, with respect to artwork, artists generally will give their work of art to the galleries, generally where they are exhibited. But whereas some people who comes to that particular art gallery likes that particular painting and purchases it, then they will get the consideration. But here the point is, the movement of these paintings from the artist to the gallery for exhibition purpose, it is not a supply. Because in this case, for the movement of the paintings from artist to the art gallery, no consideration was involved. No consideration flows from gallery to the artist In this case, it is not a supply, therefore there is no need to pay the GST. It will be treated as supply only when some person has liked that particular painting and it was actually sold to that particular person. Then only it will be termed as supply and GST is to be paid. Okay, ma. And the next point is here. Okay. So the first point, what is the first point here? What is the first point here? The point is here. With respect to first point, as per 7106 parameters, first condition, it should be a supply completed. Second one, the supply should be of the goods or services, that is also completed. And third one, it should be done for a consideration, that is also completed. The next point is, it should be done in the course or furtherance of business. It should be done in the course or furtherance of business. Sir, what is meant by the word business here? Business means any trade, commerce, manufacture, profession, even if there is no monetary benefit. Even if there is no monetary benefit. That means, what is meant by the word trade? Buying and selling of the goods is known as trade. Buying and selling of the goods is known as trade. If buying and selling happens in large scale, it is known as commerce. Converting raw materials into finished goods, it is known as manufacturing. And profession includes occasion also. What is the difference between profession and occasion? For profession means you should have the prescribed education qualification, you should have the prescribed knowledge, you should have the prescribed experience, then only you can generate a regular flow of income from that activity. It is known as profession. Whereas whatever the natural talent that was there, wherever the natural talent that was there, that particular natural talent, because by using that natural talent, if you are able to generate a regular flow of income, it is known as occasion. Like SP, Balu Garu, Ghantasala Garu, Sachin Tendulkar, MS Dhoni, like that, these people does not require any qualification to play the cricket or to sing a song. The God-gifted people, these people generally will perform. That particular hobby, that particular occasion makes them or able them to generate a regular flow of income. Definitely it is also a business activity. Even there is no monetary benefit, still it is a business. That means application of income here is immaterial. That means first I just sold my painting to some X and got the remuneration, got the consideration of some 2 lakhs. After that, I just donated these 2 lakhs to some charitable institution. Some charitable institution. Okay, ma. Some charitable institution. In this case, first I received that 2 lakhs. After that, I just applied the money to a charitable purpose. It is immaterial for which purpose you used that money. Whether you received consideration or not, yes, then it is a business. Pay the GST. And in the same way, any activity incidental or ancillary to it is also a business activity. What is meant by incidental? What is meant by ancillary activity? Incidental means optional one, ancillary means compulsory. That means, let's say, for car, AC, music system, DVD player, all these are incidental ones or optional ones. Whereas if the government prescribes the car should have airbags for the safety purpose, they should mandatorily there in the car. In that case, it is mandatory one, compulsion by law, it comes under ancillary activity. So when the main activity is a business activity, its incidental or ancillary activities are also treated as business activities. When main activity is a business activity, its incidental or ancillary activities are also treated as business activity. Okay. And any activity of the same nature, even if there is no volume or continuity. Generally, when you study commerce, you come across the words like, in order to treat any transaction as a business activity, recurring nature is needed one. Recurring nature should be there. But whereas with respect to our GST, even isolated transactions can be treated as business activity. It is not required that continuity should be there. Even there is no recurring nature, still it is a business activity. And even there is no volume, that means even though there is a single buyer or very few buyers, but still it will be termed as business. Next one. Supply or requisition of the goods, including capital goods and services, in connection with commencement or closure of business. That means with respect to commencement of business, some consultancy services will be there now. How to set up a shop, way to get the raw material cheaply. All these things will be there. So all these things comes under consultancy. These services are in relation to commencement of the business. Okay. And same point will be there with respect to closure, liquidation, winding up, dissolution. All these things will come under closure of business. Any activities in relation to those activities, those closure activities are also treated as business activities. Okay, ma'am. On provision of facilities by the club or association to its members for a consideration. Let's say Lions Club, Rotary Club, Secunderabad Club, like that number of clubs are there. But these clubs will provide the facilities to only its members but not to any outsiders. That means nothing but technically it is a self-service. But still the provision of facilities by the club to its members is covered under the definition of business. Covered under the business definition of business. Okay, ma'am. In this particular case, even though it is done to its own members, but still it is a business. Next one, admission for consideration to any premises. That means there will be entry fee in order to enter any premises. It is also known as a business activity. Example, movie theaters, Ramoji Film City, Wonderla, Hoyland. For entering a museum, some park, like that. If there is any entry fee, in order to enter that particular premises, it is also known as a business activity. Okay, ma'am. And services as a holder of office accepted in the course or furtherance of trade or profession. That means holder of office means generally having a place of profit. Having a place of profit means getting some additional remuneration or getting from additional benefit from the trade or trade or profession, then definitely it is also known as a business. Let's say I am a Mufti distributor in AP, and that Mufti company has given me a Bangkok free trip worth some 2 lakhs because I have done the Mufti sale so much impressively. So the Mufti company have given me those tickets worth 2 lakhs to go to Bangkok trip. In this case, why I got those tickets? Because I am doing the business pretty well. Okay, ma'am. That's why in all these cases, because I just got that additional benefit, because I am in the trade. That means whatever the benefit, whatever the additional benefit I got here, that is 2 lakhs, will be treated as business income. And GST is to be paid. Same point will be applicable to profession also. Being a chartered accountant, say for example, I am the internal auditor of some Kalyan Jewelers. So being an auditor, they gave me a discount of some 30%. Generally, they will give some 5% discount to their customer. Being an auditor of that particular organization, they provided me additional discount of some 30%. I got the benefit of this 30% additional benefit because I am a chartered accountant. So this will also known as business income. A GST is to be paid. But keep it in mind, when you just actually submit all this data, then only you are liable to pay the GST, technically. Next one, activities of the race club by way of totalizer. Totalizer is a device generally with respect to racing of horses, how much bets is going on, which number horse, if you win, how much amount you will get, if you lose, how much amount you have to pay. All these things will be there on electronic device that is known as totalizer. Okay, so by giving this particular device, you are liable to pay some amount to the race club. On that, this activity is also a business activity. In the same way, race club generally will give license to a bookmaker to conduct the betting activity. Okay. In this case, the activity done by the race club as well as activity done by the bookmaker, both are covered under the word definition of business and both are liable to pay the GST. Last but not the least, any activity of the government. Any activity of the government. What about any activity of the government here? That means whatever the activities that are done by the government commercially, definitely those activities are also treated as business activities and they are also liable to pay the GST. Just like Tatkal tickets and in train AC to AC reservation will be there, those things. And if government is providing services to registered business entities, in all those cases government is also liable to pay the GST. Okay, ma'am. But whereas GST is a tax on the commercial transactions, but if any transaction or any activity that is done in the individual capacity, then it will not be treated as a supply and you are not liable to pay the GST. If it happens in the course or furtherance of business, then only you are liable to pay the GST. Okay, ma'am. If it is done in the capacity of the person, that means in the personal capacity it was done, then definitely it is not a business activity. Let's say I purchased a AC for my residence. I purchased it for my personal use. If subsequently I sold that AC, then also it is not a business activity. Because at the time of purchasing it, what is the position? Definitely we are not liable to pay the GST. See this? Rishabh buys a car for his personal use. After a year, he sells the car to a car dealer. Here, the sale of car by Rishabh to a car dealer is not a supply because it is not in the course or furtherance of business. Same point, Radhika sold her old bangles to Bhola Jewelers. Sale of old jewelry by the individual which was purchased previously for their personal use, definitely it is not in the course or furtherance of business. Okay, ma'am. But whereas exception to that, that means generally any transaction done in the course or furtherance of business, then only it is taxable. But the exception to that point is importation. That means we will discuss that point later on, 7.1b. With respect to 7.1b, even the activity was done without, even the activity was done in the personal capacity, even it was imported for personal use, then also you are liable to pay the GST. That is the point you should remember. Okay. Next point, is any activity done as a part of his job constitute a supply under GST? Generally, in order to be treated as a business activity, business includes occasion, sale of the goods, even as the occasion is also a supply under GST. But if any activity that is done as a part of his job, that is okay. That means job means here his regular activity. That means there is a continuity or regularity, still definitely it is a supply. Not only a regular activity, But also occasional transactions also amounts to supply here. See this? Sundaram Acharya, famous actor, paints some paintings, is generally a painter. Sorry, he's generally an actor. But here, he paints some paints and sells them, and whatever the amount he will get here, he will donate the amount to Kind Human Charitable Trust. Here, application of income is immaterial. For which purpose he used that money is immaterial. That means after selling that particular painting, you got the consideration or not? Yes, definitely it is a business activity, even though it is one-time occurrence. Okay, ma'am. Next one. Or the services provided by the club or association to its members for consideration constitute a supply? Yes, already we discussed. Even though it is self-service, it is taxable. See this resident welfare association. Generally, they will provide services like watchman services and all these things. Definitely, if the prescribed limit exceeded, definitely per month, the maintenance charges is more than 7,500 rupees, definitely they are liable to pay the GST. And next one is here. First one, supply completed. Second one, goods or services completed. Third one, consideration completed. Fourth one, in the course or furtherance of business. Sir, what is meant by in the course of business? What is meant by furtherance of business? In the course of business means as a running part of business. Furtherance of business means for the future benefit of business. Anyway, both are comes under business purpose. Definitely GST is payable. This is fourth one. Fifth one, supply should be made by a taxable person. Sir, who is a taxable person? That means the person, taxable person is a person who is registered or liable to be registered under 22 or 24. That means 22 generally deals with normal registration. That means as per section 22, when your turnover crossed the prescribed limit, definitely you are liable to, yes, registered. And as per 24, it deals with compulsory registration. That means irrespective of turnover, you are liable for registration. If you are covered under any of these two sections, definitely you are liable for registration and you will be treated as a taxable person. The question is here, sir, the supplier is a taxable person, that is sufficient to levy the GST, or recipient should also be a taxable person? Supplier is a taxable person, that is sufficient. Even though the recipient is not a taxable person, but still it will be constituted as a supply and GST is to be paid. Okay, ma'am. GST could be levied only the supplier is taxable person. In other words, recipient may or may not be a taxable person. Next one, the supply should be a taxable supply. Sir, what is meant by the word taxable supply? Means on which GST is leviable is known as taxable supply. Okay, ma'am. So, if at all these 6 points are satisfied, definitely it is a supply as per 7(1)(a) and GST is to be paid. And next one is importation of service 7(1)(b). You can see here, sir, in order to apply 7(1)(b), what is the position? In order to apply 7(1)(b), first point, it should be importation of service. Sir, what is meant by importation of service? Supplier should be there in outside India and recipient should be there within India. Second one, sir, is it necessary that the importation should happen for a consideration? Yes, it should happen for a consideration. And third one, sir, in order to treat a importation to attract GST under 7(1)(b), it should be imported for business purpose? No, it can be imported for any purpose. It can be imported either for the business purpose or for personal use. In any of these two cases, 7(1)(b) is attracted if at all it is importation of service and consideration is charged. Okay, ma. So this is 7(1)(b). First point, it should be importation. Second one, it should be done for a consideration. So 7(1)(b) in చెప్తున్నాము మనం, it should be done for importation. Second one, it should be done for a consideration. And third one is here, it should be either imported for business purpose or for personal use. Okay, ma'am. If all these points are satisfied, definitely GST is to be paid.
Hi students, I am Prakash, Academic Advisor, Masterminds. Just now you have watched a sample video of our rapid revision batches for CA Inter level. So we are very happy to say that we have developed this kind of rapid revision batches for all the subjects of CA Inter and IPCC level. And if you are interested, then you can directly purchase rapid revision batch videos of your choice from our app. So first of all, you please do install our Android app Masterminds Online Classes from Google Play Store. So after that, click the option Store. After that, select the filter CA Inter RRB. CA Inter RRB. Yeah, here it is CA Inter RRB. So whatever the subject you want, you can purchase the same. And for each video there will be around 6 months of validity. That means whenever you purchase a course, there will be 6 months of validity. That means you can watch at any time before 6 months after the date of purchase. And we will be giving 1.5 views. That means each 1 hour of video you can watch for around 1.5 hours. And these videos can be watched directly in your mobile phone. And if you belong to iOS platform, then please do install an app called Class Plus and enter the organization code as MZGUN. I hope that you liked the sample video of RRB subject being uploaded by us. And please do subscribe this channel so that you can receive a notification whenever we add a new video. And also press the like button if you really like this video. And also press the bell icon so that you will receive a notification. And please do send a mail to my mail ID if at all you have any academic doubts or issues. My mail ID is mssprakash2012@gmail.com. So once you visit our app, not only RRB videos, you can find large number of other videos also. If you belong to CA Inter, then so in the filter section you can select the option CA Inter. Then all the videos related to CA Inter will be visible to you. So just now I have pressed the option of CA Inter. Now all these are the videos available for CA Inter. For example, if you want to watch the videos of a particular subject at CA Inter level or a particular chapter at CA Inter level, either of regular batch or crash batch, all such videos are already available in the app. So the videos related to CA Inter regular batches, videos related to CA Inter crash batches are already available in this app. Either you can purchase a particular subject or sometimes even some few chapters or even the entire group you can purchase directly from the app. That is the convenience with which you can watch the videos by installing our app. All the best. Let's have a glimpse into the roots of the Masterminds. So Masterminds were established in 2002 and is undeniably the pioneer and the leader in MEC, CA and CMA coaching in India with a lion's share of nearly 20,000 admissions per annum. It is an incredible initiative by three visionary edupreneurs. That is me, MSS Prakash, Chartered Accountant, my brother Mohan, my sister-in-law Radha. From the same family at a very young age under the successful mentorship of our father, Mr. M. Sivaprasad. Within the shortest span, our presence have expanded to almost all major cities of AP and Telangana. We are humbled to say that very soon we want to expand to the states of Karnataka and Tamil Nadu also, so especially with the wishes and support of all our old students. We offer best quality services for MEC with integrated coaching for CRCMA Foundation. Exclusive MEC CEC coaching is also available. Regular class, study hours and revision exams, MMTS services for all the levels of CSCMA courses. And recently we launched a unique academic program called MEC Pro, aiming the students who aspire to pursue BBA, CLAT or MBA in future rather than CSCMA courses, and we have received excellent response. So our students have achieved first rank for 47 times in various courses that we offer coaching. Till now, our students have bagged 977 All India ranks in all the stages of CSCMA courses. So 98 All India ranks in a single attempt of CMA inter and final exams, and 180 All India ranks in CSCMA courses in 2019 and 20 alone. So 3 All India first ranks in the year 2020 alone. So right now we have around 150 batches of various courses in Guntur and all our branches together.